was curated to switch the narrative, to show that it's never too late to shift your mindset, heal your heart, and live the life that you truly desire. Sis, you are magic. You just haven't discovered it yet. But in order to get to the goal, you have to do a little bit of digging, getting through all the hard stuff to allow your true self to shine. Because yes, you are beautiful. But how is your soul really feeling? Are you fine on the inside? Hey y'all, welcome to Fine on the Inside. This is your girl Jazz, and I am here with Eric Preston. Eric, thank you for coming on to the pod today. Eric is a comedian, a father, just a funny boy overall. And you are super inspiring. You know, you have your comedy career going on right now. You've been hosting shows. And, you know, just seeing you and your growth, how you've been developing and everything, it's like real inspiring. So shout out to you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to give you your flowers because, you know, a couple months ago we had the Love Bonds. And, you know, I do poetry, but I don't really be on stage like that. So it was a little nerve-wracking for me because I'm not used to being on stage in front of people. But the way how you kind of had everything organized and you made it just like easy for us, you know, you're like, this is going to go on here, we're going to do this and that. So shout out to you because you made like the whole thing just like super easy, and I felt comfortable, you know, being on stage. And it's nice to just have like somebody to be a leader and, you know, being able to organize something like that and then see you having your comedy shows. I feel like that's pretty dope.
Yeah, so number one, thank you for that. You were great at that. That was my third year in a row running this. When we first started, it was just me. Then the second year we moved to having a couple comedians with me. Then we moved to this year having poetry and music and everything else. Shout out to Heather for trusting me.
Yeah, shout out to me. Yeah,
shout out to them for trusting me with this and allowing me to have my vision with it and where I wanted to go to have the best thing for them. And they allowed me to have the full control of the talent and doing everything and organizing it. For me, like being a performer, I know how important it is to be confident on stage. So I always try to instill that in everybody else that I'm working with, like especially when I'm hosting, when I'm running the show. I want to instill that confidence in everybody because when you're running a show like that, the show isn't about me. Like, you know what I'm saying? The show is about y'all. So I have to highlight what you're doing. And in order to get the best out of you, I may have to go, hey, like, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to make sure that it's run smoothly. And not saying you in particular or anybody, but like, I know when someone isn't overly confident in what they're about to do. So my job is to try and make sure that they're as confident as can be heading into their performance. Because I can see when somebody isn't confident. Because I perform, I do this every day. So if I can see it, they can see it. So like what I went to you and I try to tell you was just go up there, breathe, relax, have fun. Have fun. And you know, it led to you had a great performance that night. You did a really great job. The other poets, everybody down, even down to the music at the end, everybody had a great time. So that's just my job, and you know, I'm happy they trust me with doing it.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like, you know, you set the tone. Like you said, you can tell when everybody else not confident. So it's like, see you being confident, it's like, okay, wow, like, you know, he's fine, so we're fine. You know what I mean? And that kind of just sets the tone. So shout out to you because that really helped me a lot. So one of the things I like to do is do like some icebreakers. So I just want to ask you a few little questions. So the first one is there a particular interaction with a fan or audience member that has stayed with you because of like its emotional significance?
I don't think with an audience member. I will say this was maybe a year and a half ago. After this was actually the second Love Bond show. I ran into, you know, somebody who was at the show, and they remembered me from telling jokes. And that was the first time that happened to me. So I was like, oh shit, like somebody remembered a joke that I told, like, hell yeah, like that's amazing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the first person I remember. They were like, yo, you said that joke about, you know, you being attracted to this, that, and the third. Man, that shit was funny as hell. Man, I'm still thinking about that. It still makes me laugh. Like, Thank you for that. You put on a great show.
Yeah.
And that was 8-9 months after the show
wow.
would even happen.
Yeah.
So to know I had that impact, I was like, wow, like that for me was the most profound thing.
Okay, nice, yeah. So the other one is, if you could perform with any other comedian, who would it be?
Right now, if I could perform with anybody, it would be my mentor, Clint Coley.
Okay.
That's who I would perform with, because he's had my back since day one. He's the one that kind of gave me the opportunities to be in the position that I'm in now, and to instill that confidence in me to get better and to keep growing better. So I watch him, like when he lives in LA, but like right now he's in Philly for like 3 weeks. So every week I'm doing a show with him at Punchline.
Okay.
And I work with him on that night, but I don't work with him in that capacity, like being on stage.
Okay.
So like I know at one point in my career I want to do what he's doing right now with some comedians of his echelon that they're performing, and I would love to do that with him one day.
Okay, nice. Was he at Love Bonds?
No, he was. I think he was in LA at the time, but
Well,
I know a
that
lot
name
of
sounds
people
really
different.
familiar.
Clint Cool, so he's from Philly, but he went to Norristown High. He graduated from Norristown High. He graduated like when I was a freshman.
Oh, okay.
So like he's much older, but like he has like a bunch of different podcasts. He does the whole. You might have seen him on the internet somewhere, because we always doing some wild stuff.
Yeah. You know what I think is dope though? I've been doing these icebreakers, and for some reason I keep thinking, like, when I ask these questions, people are gonna say like famous people.
Yeah.
But you guys have been really like saying like people that are like more like significant to you.
Yeah.
I think that's so dope. You know what I mean? It's not always about the fame and all that, like the big names. It's about, you know, who really is with you, who's really making an impact. So I think that's dope.
For me, it's like it's kind of like the loyalty aspect. It's not just the loyalty aspect, but it's like, again, I'm not doing comedy if it's not for him. So like he's somebody who's pushed me to get better. He's somebody who told me I was funny on stage to begin with.
Yeah.
So without him, I'm not doing any of this.
Right.
So like for me, it's you know what I'm saying, I'm riding with who I'm close to like that. So you know what I'm saying. I only do things with people like I really enjoy doing things with. So like, you know what I'm saying, coming on the pod with you, you know what I'm saying, it was a no-brainer, because you know what I'm saying, like I respect you, you dope as hell.
I appreciate
so
that.
So that's, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on, you know. And you know, we've done like a couple events together. Even the one event we just did, what was that for? It was for Free Tyree.
Okay, yeah.
And we did that, and even then, you know, like you had everything in control, and you know, you just made things smooth, and you know, it's always like a good experience working with you. So
It's good working with you. It's good working with you. It's if y'all don't know, Jazz does a bunch of other art projects and stuff. So like when I have a comedy show, so when I have a comedy show, she designs all my posters. And I trust in her artistic vision. So everything for me is very simple. I give her the details, and I just literally say, do what you. I trust your vision.
That,
Like I don't have any input in it. I don't say really anything. Listen, this is here. This is the name of the show. This is all the details. These are who's on it. Do you? I trust your artistic vision. And then I make sure to go out of my way to tell you, yo, make sure you put your watermark on it. Make sure
I appreciate that
yo,
too.
like, because I want you to make sure that you get all that. But it's like who I choose to work with and do things with, and every time you haven't disappointed not one time. So.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that for sure. All right, so I just want to, you know, give the audience like a little idea of like who you are. So can you tell us like a little bit about yourself?
So I said my name is Eric Preston. I'm here from town, like, you know, all about it, all about the 610. Born and raised here. Really just kind of, you know, was a poor kid, and always just found a way to get through the problems. And, you know, now being a dad of a 15-year-old, I got 2 stepkids who are also older and crazy. So, you know, work a full-time job. I take care of my dad as well. So, you know what I'm saying, he has congestive heart failure. So I wear a lot of hats. I'm, you know, full-time work. Comedy is another full-time job. Taking care of him, taking care of a family, another full-time job. Um, and really, that's really it for me. I'm a really simple person, especially at this point in my life. I'm so simple, calm, and laid back. Like, I just want to do my work and go home and not be involved in any bullshit.
Was you wild? Like, were you wild before? You calm down?
Yeah, I was definitely wild. Some of you know, them early 20s, man, you out here just, you were just out here just being a menace to society. I'm surprised I don't have, I'm not surprised, but I'm happy I don't have any more kids out here. I got one and I'm good. You know, thankfully I was lucky I didn't get myself into trouble or nothing. I just really kind of stayed out there. I just like to have fun and make people laugh and, you know, kind of do my own thing, but, you know, had my own issues going along the way, you know, with not really feeling like I belonged anywhere, not really feeling like I was just like, I was existing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was cool with people, but like, I wasn't really nobody's best friend like that. I was just, you know what I'm saying? I was just kind of out here and making it through the world, my way through the world. And, you know, thankfully out of those feelings now, but, you know, you had to grow into that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, you came a long way, you know what I mean? So, shout out to you. So, like, what inspired you, your personal journey, your mental health, like, what inspired you to, like, pursue your career? Like, did that have anything to do with it at all?
I think for me, like, getting the courage up really to do comedy was a combination of a lot of different things. It was a combination of, like, a lot of failure. It was like a lot of plans that I had didn't really work out. Like, I was doing this and I was doing that, but nothing really made me happy. Like, so, you know, chasing different things that I thought I liked. But like, and come to find out, like, you know, in high school you think you got it all figured out. Like, I'm gonna be a lawyer and I'm gonna do this, that, and third, and then like life hits you in the face and plans get changed, or like you realize like, I don't really want to do this shit. Like, I like doing this instead. For me, it was just a lot of that. It was like, hey, do I want to work on cars? Do I want to work in the kitchen? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? It's okay, but like, I don't really like it. Like, I don't love it, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't what I love. But the one thing I was always good at and I was able to do effortlessly was make people laugh. So like, you know, once I figured out like, hey, this is the one thing that you can do. Let's try and do it with people who aren't your friends and aren't your family. Because then that's really when you'll find out if you're funny or not. And, you know, just kind of was just on that precipice, and I was just kind of like, I ain't got nothing else to lose. Like, let's try it and see what happens. Let's just do a open mic and see what happens. And then did an open mic for the first time, and it was just like, man, like, you know, I had older comedians coming up to me and they were like, how long you doing comedy? And I'm like, tonight. I just started, and they were flabbergasted. They were like, what? Nah, no fucking way. And I'm like, yeah, like, this is my first time. Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? They were like, yo, you were really good, keep going. And that's just kind of where my inspiration for it all came.
Nice, okay. So can you share like a moment where you realized like the profound impact like laughter has on people's lives?
I'll be honest, I was young. I was a kid. I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. And I just remember I'm watching different comedians on stage. I'm watching people like Martin Lawrence. I'm watching people. Actually, like, it even started before stand-up comedy. I would say, like, yeah, I'm watching Martin Lawrence on TV. I'm watching Will Smith on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And no matter how bad of a day I was having, like, when I went home at the end of the night and I'm sitting in the living room with my dad watching Martin, laughing our asses off. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, well, you know, I end the night on a laugh, so, you know, it's going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? And that just kind of helped me get through, you know what I'm saying, those early years, realizing like, all right, well, Martin made people laugh. You know, I'm 8 years old. I'm getting bullied at school. Maybe I can make them laugh. And maybe I can use what I saw on Martin. And, you know what I'm saying, that'll stop somebody from making fun of me for the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was little things like that that really led me to realize how powerful of a tool laughter is.
Yeah. So I just want to ask you. You said like you got bullied like when you were younger. Do you feel like that like had a strong impact like on your mental health?
Of course. There's no way it can't when you in those early developmental years. I think it's really how you choose to deal with it on how it affects you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can either find a way to get around it, you can find another way to deal with it, whether it be physically or whether it be like I did with laughter or physically, however the case may be, like, or you can let it beat you the hell down.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? That's how people still have, you know, self-esteem issues because they let it soak into it, and you know what I'm saying, one way or another it's going to have an effect on you.
Yeah.
So I think you have not so much a choice, but you have multiple ways in which you can deal with the situation. I think the support system that's around you plays a role in it.
Yeah.
And how you're raised, you know, your environment plays a role in how you're going to decide on how to deal with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy that you said that because, you know, I like vaguely remember like when I was like around that age, I like dealt with some bullying too. Yeah. And I just remember, you know, it kind of made me like almost shut down. But I think like some of like my journey, you know, trying to be like accepted kind of like started like around like that
that's
age.
That's what you want. You want to be, you know, you don't want to be made fun of. You want to be, you know, especially when you're a kid, like a lot of times you being, like I was being made fun of a lot of things that were out of my control. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I grew up poor, so we ain't had nothing. So I either had clothes that were too big, too small.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My clothes were dirty because my mom couldn't go to the laundromat, wash clothes that week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so we being bullied for things that are out of our control. Like I can't control the clothes I wear. I'm 8. I can't buy my own Jordans. I'm 8. Like what you want me to do? Like, you know what I'm saying? But these Power Ranger sneaks I got on is cool. So you know what I'm saying? Like you have no control over that. So, but you know, kids are mean.
They are.
I probably mean as a kid at one point too, but like kids are mean, but like you want to be accepted. You don't you want to be, everybody want to be the cool kid. Everybody want to be accepted in their you know, subgroup, whatever that may be. And you know, like we do too much sometimes to try and fit in.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I learned, like, once I learned to stop doing that shit, it don't matter.
It don't, for sure. So what has been one of the biggest challenges that you have faced as a comedian? How did you overcome it?
The struggles that nobody else sees. So, like for example, for me, last year, you know what I'm saying, right before, probably last year for the second Love show, my dad ended up, he had a small stroke, he had a heart attack, he was in the hospital for like a month. He came home, he really couldn't walk, he couldn't do anything, he had to wear this big ass like defibrillator vest, so if his heart messed up, it would give him a shot. And I'm responsible for taking care of him while working a job myself, while trying to figure everything the hell else out. And, you know, I got this Love Bond show coming up, which at this point I'm the host, I can't get out, like, you know what I'm saying, like I gotta be here. My dad gets out of the hospital that day, like the day of. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta rush, I gotta go get him from the hospital, run home, get dressed, get showered, do all this other stuff. Like my day kind of got thrown into like a frenzy. And nobody knows what the hell is going on.
Right.
Like, I'm just going through, but I show up, I'm professional, I'm doing the same thing, making sure the show goes on without a hitch. We have a great night. Great night, cool. Then like 2 weeks later, same thing. I got a show in DC with my mans, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going, cause like I got too much going on here.
Right.
And my lady and, you know what I'm saying, everybody was like, no, we not missing like opportunities. Like we can't do that. I'll take care of Dad. Like you go to DC, do what you gotta do. I lost my voice the day before arguing with some family because they not doing nothing to help him, but everybody has an opinion. So I go to DC, I have a great show again. I do my thing, but I'm doing all this while being absolutely terrified, worried, sick about my dad going on like I'm not there, nothing's in my control. So like, what if something goes wrong while I'm not there?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I handle this situation? And then inside, I'm just like, I'm a child. Like, I'm crawled up in the fetal position, and the inside just crying my eyes out, not really knowing, not really feeling like I want to do this. And I went through like probably like 8 months of that, just kind of like not having fun, not having fun doing comedy. And I had a busy year. Like, just I wasn't having fun. I wasn't producing at the level that I felt I should have been. I just wasn't. My mom was just too far gone. So getting through that struggle to learn to start having fun on stage again, to learn to like kind of let things go and really just kind of adapt and move on. Like, hey, I can control what I can control. I'm going to do my best while handling all of these things and continuing to go, because I made a choice to continue to keep doing what I'm doing. So I got to make everything work. And not again, nobody knows what I'm going through. You know what I'm saying? Because but that's the job of the comedians who like to put on that face, and you know, like I'm sitting here entertaining 100 some odd people that just love my show, worried sick to death about my dad, not knowing what the hell is going on, like. But I have to be a professional, and I have to show up, and I have to make these people laugh. But I don't think a lot of, I mean, they might realize, damn, but like, yo, we comedians, we people too. Like, just as I'm funny all the time, I'm still a person too. You know what I'm saying? I still have emotions, fears, things that I had to deal with, and entertain y'all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of going through that whole situation really was something that I had to learn how to juggle and encounter and just move forward with. And it's still hard to do. It's not as bad now because my dad, thankfully, is in a better place. He's doing a lot better. So like, I'm able to kind of take my hands off and enables me to do more. But yeah, like that, those are the type of struggles that nobody else sees.
That's heavy. You know what I mean? Like trying to juggle all that, and then when you describe that, I see like that theater mass space, you know, where it's like the happy in the front, but
it's
like
very
in the
much
back,
like that.
It's like, damn, you know what I mean? And it's like, you gotta tell jokes. Like, I'm trying to make y'all feel good. Literally inside, I'm going to fuck through it. It's like, wow. Like,
and the good thing now is, like, now I'm at a point where, like, I tell jokes about my dad on stage now. Like, that, I got to a point where I was able to, like, finally see the funny in some of the shit that was going on in my house. Like, during the time, some of the things he would do. I'm like, dog, you can't, like, you have a heart condition, you can't do this shit. So like, and then once I learned, oh shit, like, I learned to incorporate it into like a therapy for me on stage. So since I was able to do that, that's when I was able to start having fun again.
I think that's crazy because I was talking to somebody recently, and I was like kind of saying like some of the stuff I've been through, but I'm like, but I don't regret any of it because like my story is lit now, you know what I mean?
Like,
and it's like, you know, at the time you were stressed out about your dad, but then even though, you know, he didn't go through that for you to get jokes, but it just turned out that you were able to make jokes about it, and now he's doing better, and now you have more material, you know what I mean? It's just funny how like little things like that work out. Like, it all builds to our story, even if it's things that, you know, we were stressed out about, but everything contributes to, you know, our story and what we end up, like, what our purpose ends up being, you know. It all contributes to it.
It definitely does. Like, that growth, like, even from the minute I started comedy, like, when I first started talking to my homie Clint again, and I'm just like, hey, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, oh, you're good. Like, keep going to open mics and keep trying. So then, you know, I just started year three of doing comedy. But that first like couple of months, like, I did comedy the first few times and everything, and then the hurricane came. You know what I'm saying? So through the hurricane, like, me and my dad was living with me. He wasn't sick at the time, but we lived together. We lived right down there next to the river, and we ended up losing everything that we had. You know what I'm saying? So in that moment, even like right when I started, I wanted to stop.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, like, cause I gotta, work all the time. I gotta basically rebuild my life right now.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? And the government not really giving the help they said they was gonna give.
Right.
So, like, I gotta figure something else out. But at the same time, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was like, dog, like I think I'm about to stop before I even start.
Right.
And Clint calls me one day, like just on the rain, it was like, hey man, listen, like I hear what you're saying. He was like, if you want to quit, quit. If you want to quit, quit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do that. But like,
that's not
what you doing it for? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing it for?
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, he was very, very real. He was like, you know what I'm saying? We just really, like, we knew each other, but like, wasn't like that. But he was just like talking like a big brother and was just like, this is the moment right now where, like, I don't know if you watch like Marvel movies and stuff, but that's how he put it to me. He was like, this is your absolute point in a Marvel movie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is where you either going to do it, you know what I'm saying, or you're not. And whatever it is going to be your absolute point. Either you're starting here or you're not. Or you're going to quit here. Whichever way you choose is going to do it. And he was just kind of like, if you want to give up, go ahead, bro. But I don't see that.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see, I can just tell you from the first couple videos I sent him, he was just like, I can see what you want.
Yeah.
So, life is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen to all of us, and it's going to keep happening. And he's like, there's going to be more fucked up shit that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. What you gonna do?
Yeah, you gotta decide. Like, if this
you gonna quit. You gonna quit when it gets hard, or you gonna keep going? And I was just like, all right, yeah, you're right in the midst of all that. I'm rebuilding my life. I'm going through this, and whenever he sees, he's just like, hey man, look, like I'll be in Philly on this date. I'm 3-4 months into doing comedy. He's like, I'm gonna be in Philly on this date. You're open for me.
Wow.
We're doing this. Get your shit together.
Wow.
And it was just kind of like, okay.
Wow, yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, even giving me opportunities while I'm in the middle of rebuilding, losing everything, I'm like, I'm taking those baby steps into what I'm doing. But he was just like, no, like, we
gonna do this.
Yeah, we gonna do this. And, okay, like I told you earlier, starting is the hardest thing. Yeah. So it was just like, from that point, it was just like, all right, cool. I do really like this. Mm-hmm. I gotta find a way to be able to do it more. Yeah. So I made things happen. Right. And thankfully, right now, which we'll get into later on, like I'm doing everything I said I was going to do.
Yeah. So I think that's dope. You have him. I feel like God really be sending us people at the right time. So just having him in your ear, because maybe if you did have him, maybe you would have quit.
It was definitely on the table. It was definitely, it was definitely an option at that point. It was definitely an option. Yeah.
All right. So, how do you handle a joke that doesn't sit or doesn't land how you expected?
You have to know that that's going to happen. Okay. Especially in my industry in comedy, it happens to everybody. Okay. All right. If Kevin Hart got booed off stage, Eddie Murphy got booed off stage. Right. Dave Chappelle, you name them, they've been booed off stage. So who are you, that crazy to believe it won't happen to you? Yeah. What makes you that special to believe it won't happen to you? Right. Also, that's how you learn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You learn. If you are constantly good at something all the time, this shit is easy for you, and every time you do it, it's not difficult, then you're not trying hard enough. Yeah. You're not challenging yourself enough. For sure. You know what I'm saying? So once you realize as a comedian, the joke is never finished. It's always evolving. It's always getting better. Mm-hmm. There's never a such thing as this joke is perfect. Right, yeah. No, it can always get better. So once you learn that, it goes into the confidence part. Okay, I'm not sure how this joke is gonna go, but I'm gonna be confident enough to tell it. If it doesn't land, I'm gonna go back and we'll listen to it. I'm gonna figure out why it didn't, and then I'm gonna go for it again. But you learn way more by failing than you ever do by shit being easy and handed to you.
Yeah.
You don't learn any lessons that way. So you're gonna bomb. It's gonna happen. I bombed a couple weeks ago. I mean, I sat there for 8.5 minutes, just eating shit. It just wasn't. I knew it too. I was just like, all right, I don't care. Like, well, hey, I still got paid.
Right.
like, shit happens. It wasn't my night. Cool. It just is what it is.
Right, and I feel like that's with like anything in life. You know what I mean? Like we gonna go through rejection.
Yeah.
Everybody ain't gonna feel like what we doing, but we gotta just keep going for it.
And it's you. It's you. It's always you. Like Eric, like I hear young comedians all the time. Oh, the room was such and such, or the host was such and such, and da 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 da. Like no, dog, it was you.
Yeah.
Like it was you. You're the reason.
Accountability.
Yeah, you're the reason that it happened. Like even I've done a couple comedy competitions that I didn't move on in, and the way that you move on, especially in the first round, is by audience vote.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So if you bring 10 people and all 10 people vote for you, you got a good chance of moving on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like I've been in a room for I've had nobody in the room for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't make it through. It wasn't I didn't bring no people. It was
Right.
I wasn't funny enough undisputedly to move on. Like because if I'm that funny, like undoubtedly,
even people know you.
Even if they not here for me, they still will vote for me. Yeah. So like that's on me. That ain't nobody else's fault. That's mine.
Right.
So like I have the accountability to know, okay, well like what do I have to do to get better?
Right.
And I will get better.
For sure.
So that's how you approach it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like self-development, period, like accountability is like one of the main things that you gotta know. Like it's us, like, you know what I mean? And even with life stuff, like I say that often, like, what role do you play in this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just being able to understand, like, it is us, and where we can fix shit, where we can get better is, like, super important.
It's the hardest thing when you're a comedian. It is just you on stage. Mm-hmm. It is no. I often, especially at this point in comedy, we are often in positions where like things aren't the most conducive to comedy to begin with. So we may be at a dive bar where there's 20 people in this dive bar and 15 of them did not come to see comedy.
Right. Yeah.
We have a shitty microphone with a shitty speaker maybe, right, where the Bluetooth ain't working, so you damn near have to yell to get your jokes out. You don't have good lighting. Right. And we still have to make people laugh. Like, it's just you at the end of the day. Whether you have all of that stuff, like, nothing is perfect at this stage.
Right.
So, like, it is literally just you. Yeah. So, like, hey, dog, like, you was, oh, well, the mic wasn't working. Nah, man, it was you. Yeah. It was you. Like, I've been places where the mic hasn't worked, and I said, fuck it. Like, I don't need it. I can project. Right. You and told my jokes that way.
Just gotta roll with it.
It's comedy too. It's the least respected art form, and it's arguably the hardest.
I can see it.
Like arguably, it's the hardest. Like, because again, there's 15 people in this bar, 20 people in this bar. 15 people probably didn't come to see comedy. Yeah. And you know they have a perception of what comedy is, so they think like I have to make this person laugh. Most of the time, against their will. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they didn't come here for a comedy show, so they didn't come to laugh. Like, so they. Yeah. So you have to make that person laugh against their will. That is hard.
I'm sure it is. I would be up there like, okay. So, how has comedy helped you cope with personal struggles and challenges in life?
Like I said, I just told you a story about going through with my dad and everything. So finding the funny in a scenario is a good thing, but also comedy allows me to be vulnerable enough in that time. Even though it doesn't seem like, it may not seem like I'm being vulnerable. Right. But like when I'm going on stage and I'm telling you like, hey, like one of my jokes is, you know, I got older boys and, you know, they getting ready to leave the house, so I went and got a foster kid. You know what I'm saying? People are like, ah, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's my dad. Like, I'm taking care of him. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing that. My dad has congestive heart failure, and then I'm going into my bit. Like, I'm going into it. With that that is me being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, like, hey,
Yeah.
like, my dad is, he hurt right now. He's not doing that great. But I'm taking care of him.
Right.
And this is, one of the funny stories that happened while taking care of him. You still have to be vulnerable enough to tell that to people in front of strangers. You know what I'm saying? Who don't know you. Like, there comes even being open enough to find this funny.
Yeah.
Like, how could you find this funny? That's not it. Right. I had to, because it was the only way I could get through it.
Yeah.
But, like, you have to have a certain level of being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even, like, a lot of comedy is talking about how you failed in a certain situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, failure is funny at times, but being open and vulnerable enough to share my failures with people. Like, hey, this is probably where I might have fell short as a dad. This is probably where I fell short in my relationship. But this is why it was funny.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a level of vulnerability that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
So I allow myself those times on stage to be vulnerable and to talk about, what I'm going through.
Right.
I'm just doing it in a funny manner and in a way that is, it's therapeutic for me, but it's also a form of, like, I'm telling my story. Right. And I'm telling it my way. Yeah. I have full control over this. Right. I control that narrative. Like, I tell what's going on. Right. So when you have that type of control, it gives you a certain level of power over your mental health. It gives you a certain level of power over how you feel and over how you handle your emotions. So if you can do that, like, it's easy. Not easy, but that's fun. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It helps a lot. I recommend people, like, whether it be journaling, whether it be, getting those feelings out in whichever way that you do it, find that way to do it. And for me, comedy is that way.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? I feel like you are actually helping other people because, like, you're being vulnerable. You might not see it or they might not say it, but there might be people that are relating to you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's like now they can relate that pain with laughing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that just, probably takes some of the edge off and some of that stress off. Just like, dang, like, he's going through stuff too, and he's making the most of it.
I hear it all the time. I hear it especially from mothers when I'm talking about, like, the things I'm going through with 3 older boys. And they're just like, oh my God, like, my son's going through puberty right now, so, like, I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I see the struggle, I see what's going on. Like, they try to be like, oh no, like, it's my baby. And I'm like, no, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, your baby in the other room beating the hell out of his meat right now, like, abusing himself. Like, he is like, but, like, they're parents, so, like, you can see, you can understand what I'm going through. Right, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I try to make it as relatable as can be. Right. I try not to, like, I don't really kind of sugarcoat it. Like, these are the realistic things that are happening. Yeah. Like, if you have a young boy, like, you gonna catch your son doing this thing. Like, it's gonna happen. It's going to happen. So prepare. If you haven't already, prepare yourself. If you have, well, you probably gonna get some of these jokes that know you. You gonna understand the feelings and the emotions that you're going through. So, like, being relatable is something I get it all the time. Especially, like I say, young mothers. Your mothers in general of boys, they be like, man, okay. Is it really like that? And I'm like, it's like that.
You're like, you'll see down the road.
No, yeah. How old is he? 7. In about 3 more years. In about 3-4 more years. Right. And it's easy now too, like, you know what I'm saying? But I think the reason I do it is because, like, it is something that every young boy is going to go through, and it is normal. Right. And I think, like, I never shunned any of my sons for it. I never, like, was like, oh, why the fuck you doing that? Like, you know what I'm saying? I've never done that. Like, even catching them, like, watching porn. Like, I understand. Like, I was a young boy with hormones too. Yeah. Like, I was curious too. Like, I understand. Yeah. But that's where you have healthy conversations with your kids as well. So, like, I still had the joke about, like, I had the sex talk with my kids. And, you know, like, everybody's like, oh, like, the birds and the bees or some other shit, like, and I'm just like, hey, like, look, this is what sex is like. I gotta teach y'all, like, proper things. I gotta talk to you all about consent. I gotta talk to you all about, you know, consent for both of y'all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I gotta talk to y'all about protection because, you know what I'm saying, there are numerous things and we don't want you having kids at an early age.
Right.
But, like, I also understand and I know the music that y'all listen to.
Right.
So, hey, you know, I look my sons in their face, I'm like, what do y'all know about eating ass? Like, like I'm having real conversations, like, even though it's like, they're like, oh, why would you talk about that with your kids?
Right.
I understand my kids are going to be sex crazed teenagers soon.
Right, yeah.
So were you, okay?
Yeah.
So were your grandparents.
Right.
Like, let's not act like this wasn't the case. So
Yeah.
go back and watch movies like, I don't know, like, let's say Grease.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were in high school. They were
Yeah.
sex crazed teenagers in the 50s trying to get some sex in the back of a 56 Bel Air. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was all doing the same thing. It's just how open were you about it.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Again, I'm having healthy conversations with my kids.
Right.
So.
And that'll probably inspire them to have the healthy conversations or not be so mad if they, you know, they do catch their kids doing whatever, you know what I mean? Then they're like, you know what? I did hear Eric jokes about this, and that, you know, kind of showed me like another way to approach it.
Yeah, like, cause what it can do is like if you catch your son doing that, you know what I'm saying? If you shun him about it and be like, you shouldn't be doing it, but you don't provide an explanation of why,
right?
Then guess what? I'm gonna be more curious about it, and I want to go about it more. I'm gonna get riskier in how I'm gonna do it, or what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut down and some of those urges. Now he can't talk to other one because maybe being shunned if you thinking about having sex. Like, there's a lot of other different things that can come into effect with it. But if you have a healthy conversation with them and tell them, all right, listen, I understand why you're going through this. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're young, you have hormones. It's perfectly natural. I did it, uncles did it, every man on earth, every woman even has gone through these things. But let's talk about a healthier option, or like understand, you know, why you can't watch a certain amount of porn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What it'll do to your psyche.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And once you have those conversations and they understand why, you know what I'm saying? Like, not that they shouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because telling you shouldn't do it is only gonna make them want to do it more.
Right,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your mom told you, like, don't go chasing the little teenage boys.
Right.
And what did you want to do? You wanted to go chase the little bad boy more.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Like, just have a healthy conversation. Explain to them the proper things. Don't be a do as I say, not as I do type person, or don't just tell them and not give them direction why.
Right.
No isn't enough.
Exactly,
so when you have those conversations, I said, inspiring parents to have those things and be open about it, you know, leads to better. I want them to have better relationships with their kids.
Yeah.
Like, my kids can come talk to me about anything.
Yeah, I feel like that's so important.
Anything. And I can be immature with some of my answers.
Right.
Like, but at the same time, I'm going to be serious and tell them, like, boom, but I'm going to get my little joke off.
Right. And they're going to feel comfortable.
And they're going to be like, that, but they're talking to me about it. My kids can come talk to me about anything.
Yeah.
Can your kids?
Right.
What are you doing wrong?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So how has, what are some practices and habits that have been most effective for you in maintaining good mental health?
I think having goals really can improve your mental health because you have something to constantly work for.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you don't have something to work for, then your mind lingers and you like
start overthinking.
Yeah, and it's just like it could be something. Just start with something small. You know what I'm saying? And then build your way up through there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't start with I want to be a famous actor. Like, no, start somewhere small. Like, hey, like maybe I want to start learning about this. So each day I'm gonna read a different book, or each day I'm gonna like have different goals.
Taking those little actions.
Yeah, take those steps and learn how to build your confidence, and then that really is another thing too, like learning how to stay confident in everything that I'm doing. I heard a Olympic athlete talk about this one time on a podcast. She said there's this thing called the rule of threes, and the rule of threes is basically her coach explained it to her, like, when you're doing something at the highest level, or you're doing something that is your dream, there are 3 portions to what you're doing. So a third of the time you're supposed to feel really good and like things are supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, going well for you. You're supposed to feel great. Another third of the time you're just kind of feeling like, you're in the middle. It's kind of like, it's going okay, but like it's not going either way. And then like there's another third of the time it's supposed to be kind of challenging, and it's supposed to be hard. And you're supposed to have your valleys in those moments. And if you're having too much of one of those feelings, it's time to evaluate, okay, what am I not challenging myself more? Am I challenging myself too much, and maybe I need to take a step down? Like, and it just really, what that does is once you know and you realize that, what it does is it helps you level your expectations. So you can say, okay, yeah, I am supposed to have bad days. I am supposed to have days where I'm just okay. And then I'm supposed to have days where I feel great. So, and once you learn that and you keep that in mind, and you apply that, then what that just does is, okay, I had a bad day. That's it. It was just that. It was a bad day. I had 2 bad days. All right, cool. Listen, that might have been, there's 7 days in a week. You had 2 days where you're bad. All right, let's, you know what I'm saying, let's not try to let that linger anymore. You know what I'm saying? So now we can have 2 days where we're just feeling all right, and then the last 2 days you're feeling great, and that 1 day is you can feel any of those 3 emotions. And it just kind of balances out that way. So it's just it's just a way to keep your mental health. Those are things that I do.
I like that you said that, because even like me, I'm starting out this podcast. I got those days where sometimes I'm just figuring things out. And I'm just like, you know what I mean? But just understanding, like, I'm going to have those days. Not every day is going to look the same. And just being able to roll with it and, figuring out what I need, when I need to take a step back, when I need to push harder. That's super important.
And each day you'll learn, like, each day that you'll do it, you'll continue to see that, like, I'll get better. So you'll look back on this podcast in a year and you'll go, damn, that was ugly. Okay, I see. I'm so much better than I was a year ago. But these are the things that I did to get there, and now we keep building on that.
It's like you gotta do it.
Exactly, and that's how you grow.
Yeah, for sure. So, what are some things that like you push yourself to do to get to like your next level?
For me, it's always knowing that there is a next level. And I said, the joke is always evolving. It's always getting better. And because I know that, all right, well, these bits are getting better. I know right now, like, in this point in my comedy career, like, I am a nobody. Like, I am just another comedian in an oversaturated pool that's trying to get to a certain level. But I know that there's a next level to get to, and I know that there's a level to get to after that, and I know there's a level to get to after that. So, like, knowing that there is that next level and being hungry enough to go get it, not being complacent with it.
For sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard things before. It was like, hey, man, I see your potential. I think we get caught up on the word potential so much. Like, we hear, like, hey, man, you got potential to do this. And it's like, oh, man, that's great. Like, I got the potential to be a star.
That don't mean you there, though.
Yeah, exactly. I got the potential to be a star, so that just means automatically I'm going to be one. No, you got to work to be that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, knowing that I have to keep working to get to a certain level. Like, I see comedians who are 8 years in, as were my 3, and I'm like, I want to be there. And then I see my man who's 17 years in, and I'm like, I want to be there. And then I see this person on YouTube, and I'm like, I want to be there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I want to get to this point.
Do you look back at, like, when you first started, and you're like, wow, like, I wanted to be here, or where you were?
Yeah, like, I look back and I go, damn, like, I cringed. I'm like, that was bad joke. I was like, this is why I got, all right. So I look back sometimes, I'm like, but I see how much better I've gotten.
Growth,
So it's like, I look back on things and I go, all right, this isn't a surprise to me. Because when I started doing comedy, I was talking to my sister and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. Like, these are goals that I have set. And why can't I do them? You know what I'm saying? And then once I put my mind to that, I'm doing everything now that I said I was going to do 2 years ago. now that I'm
now
doing
you have
that,
your own comedy shows and
yeah,
stuff?
now that I'm doing that, now it's okay. How do we get this higher?
Right,
How do we get
next
this
level.
better? How do we keep moving? And even now, like deciding, like, hey, like, am I gonna be a stand-up comedian forever? I don't know.
Right.
Am I gonna be a showrunner one day? Maybe.
Right.
Am I gonna be a promoter one day? Maybe. I don't know.
Right.
But like, I know that I'm gonna keep getting better, and I'm gonna see where it takes me. Like wherever my avenue feels like I'll go, but I know I'm doing what I said I was going to do.
Right.
And this is just the beginning of what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So how? What are some strategies that you use to stay grounded, or just stay true to yourself, like amidst like the ups and the downs?
I think what I try to do is, again, I just try to remember like everything is a growing process.
Yeah.
So like, again, you're gonna bomb some nights, and how are you gonna respond to it?
Right.
I've had some bombs where I've been like, oh man, I don't even should even be doing comedy. And then I've had great nights where I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
But like, again, keeping in mind, you're gonna have those nights. It's
right.
gonna be what it's gonna be. But really just like not getting too into yourself and knowing, hey, I remember why I do it.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
what do I do it for? Like, my reason for what I do is not your reason for what you do.
Yeah.
So for me, that keeps me grounded and knowing like, hey, I'm doing this for me.
Right.
I'm not doing this for nobody else. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this to make myself happy.
Right.
And the day that I'm not happy doing it anymore is the day I will be done doing it.
Right.
But I think those things, like remembering why you did it to begin with, not getting lost in your own self-absorption. I don't even think it's a fucking word, but whatever. But don't get too into yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't think you're bigger than now. Don't think you're the next big thing. Like, don't get hung up on potential.
Right. Take the action.
Yeah, just and do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work.
Yeah, for sure. So, can you talk about any significant mindset shifts that you have had to make to like succeed in comedy and in life?
I think I had to gain a certain level of confidence in myself.
Okay.
That I don't necessarily think I always had.
Okay.
Like, even though everybody says like, man, you're so confident in what you do, like, how do you make this look so easy? Like,
yeah, you do.
And that shit is so far from the truth. Like, it's not. I had to learn that confidence. Right. Like, even being like, being young, like I have green eyes and everything. So like this hair in my whole life, like, my God, you're handsome, you have pretty eyes. Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? I always make this joke about like, where the hell are all these women my grandma said I wouldn't be able to keep? Like, but women gonna be beating down my door. Like, I don't have no bitches beating down my door. Grandma, you lied to me. Like, I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always.
Grandma, where the hoes at?
Yeah, like where are these hoes that you said I was going to have?
Right.
I don't have them. But no, just like I had like some sort of like I thought I was like, hey, good look, whatever. But then like, maybe you get your heart broken for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, I'm not the shit. Like, things ain't what it is. So like, I didn't always have that confidence.
Okay.
To be on stage. I didn't know like. I have a very weird ability where I can turn it on and turn it off.
Okay.
Like, so I may be a mess. Like before I go on, I'm talking or whatever. Like you've seen me at the party. Like when I'm hosting, I'm walking around talking to everybody. I'm very personable. I'm doing this, but then like that 5 minutes before I'm about to turn the mic on and go on, I'm in my corner to myself, kind of.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a little mess in that moment, and then I go. I take a deep breath.
Right.
I flip a switch. And then you would have no idea.
No, yeah.
Because I turn into the entertainer.
Right.
But like, I had to build a certain level of confidence in myself. And for a while, it was fake.
It
wasn't real confidence.
And being able to build that switch, you know what I mean?
It wasn't real confidence. Even like just, like I tell my sons, you gotta be confident when you talking to young women. Like, women like confidence. And that's kind of like how I think I've approached comedy.
Yeah.
Like, women like confidence. I've always been able to talk to women a certain way because I'm confident when I speak to them.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Whether it just be, I'm not even trying to get at you thing, but I'm confident when I talk to you. so that you know, like, damn, that's a confident dude, like, you know what I'm saying? So that, I think, is the biggest thing that I had to learn, was build confidence in myself.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. So can you discuss a significant turning point in your life that led to like greater self-awareness and like growth?
So I think, like many other people, when the pandemic hit, it was a growth period for a lot of people, because it had to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you locked in your crib and you can't really do much.
Right.
But for me, it probably happened somewhere in, like, I don't know, I'll probably say like a few years in between, like, the pandemic. Yeah, it was actually right when the pandemic hit is really kind of where I had to sit and I had to, like, really look into myself, because those 5 years heading into the pandemic was a crazy time for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I lost my mom, been homeless, going through a bunch of different things, kind of like, in life not really working out for me in any way, shape, or form. And we had this weird thing where social media has made it to seem like if you haven't made it by a certain age, you a failure or you something else.
Yeah.
So I was a victim of that too. Like, damn, I'm 27, 28, 29. Ain't shit working out for me.
Right.
Nothing's good in my life. Like, my life is a shit show. I'm kind of starting to get it together at this point, but it's like, damn, I done battled alcoholism, I done battled all these other things, and I done made it out. I didn't take care of myself. I gained a whole bunch of weight. I'm not confident in myself. I kind of, like, fucked my health up and all this other stuff. And when the pandemic just started, I was at my homie crib, because we was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna be locked in my apartment by myself. You know what I mean? Like, so we go to work, we just buy a bunch of board games, we in the crib drinking and playing whatever. And one night I was drinking and I just kind of fell, like, out of nowhere. Like, I stood up and I fell right back down. I cracked my head on the sill, on the side of the wall, woke up with a big ass aggie on my head. And in that moment I was like, I don't want this no more. Like, I don't want this no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is something not right here. Like, we done had enough of these type of nights. Like, you done drank yourself away. You done did all this other shit. Like, you gotta, like, look inside. And at that point, I stopped drinking heavily. Like, now I'm at a point where, like, I really don't drink now to begin with, but, like, I might have a drink if I'm out somewhere. But I stopped drinking. I stopped doing a whole bunch of other bullshit. I started kind of, like, looking at myself and going, what's the problems? What do we need to do to get into a better position? And I started working on them. And that was kind of that moment for me where, like, everything changed, and mindset, everything just kind of, I had to grow up and I had to figure things out. And I'm still figuring it the fuck out. Like, I'm still figuring it out.
I feel like those rock bottom moments are really what, like, puts things into perspective for us, you know, that shows us, you know, like, we gotta figure ourselves out. You know what I mean? Like, the pandemic, I feel like for a lot of people, put a lot of things into perspective because people had to be by themselves. You know what I mean? And hitting rock bottom, that's gonna show you, like, all right, either we gonna stay here, we already at the bottom, so you know what I mean? We gotta pick ourselves up. Sometimes, unfortunately, people do stay where they at, but luckily for you, you know what I mean? Like, you're able to pick it up and keep going, and, you know, being through all that, dealing with that grief, you know, homelessness, all that stuff, like, that's heavy. You know what I mean? It's not no light shit to be able to come out of. So, you know, I feel like that's cool that you were able to do that. It was hard. It was
definitely hard. It was something that, again, it's that self-awareness. You have to be aware enough to know and accountable enough to know, like, shit there's things that are messed up. And are you willing to put in the work to fix that?
And it's like, you can't always control, like, what happened to you, but you can control, like, you know, what you do with it now.
How you react and how you respond and how you do everything else. Like, all right, am I going to keep running from my problems? Am I going to keep trying to drink them away? Am I going to keep just not dealing with things? Or are we going to go to therapy and get the help that we need? Are we going to, you know, do the work that is required for you to get better? So, like, for me, I made that decision. Like, it's time to get better and figure some things out. And then once I started to do that, you know, everything else had kind of started to fall into place. And you really did, like, that's where the growth came. Like, even if that means, like, hey, letting go of friends, even if that letting go of family members, if that means, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case may be, are you willing to do that to get into a better spot? And I had to say, like, yeah, like, there's some people I can't be around anymore because you want to do this, and that's not cohesive to what I want to do. And because of that, I'm gonna take a step back. I love you, but I'm gonna take that step back and I'm gonna be over here. And, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna work on myself, and we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I stress that because I feel like a lot of us, we stay in certain spaces because we're scared of, like, the unknown. We're scared to leave people where they are. We're scared to leave the job. We're scared to, you know, take that step. But it's just like, a lot of times when we get to that other side, it's just like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, I should have been to this, or, you know, it wasn't as scary as I thought. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of times people don't make those moves because they're scared. And
fear is a motherfucker.
Yeah, so we'll stay in that comfort zone. We'll stay in that, you know, comfortable hell, you know, but it's like, you never know, like, making that jump, letting go of some relationships, that could be the thing to take you to that next level. So I feel like, you know, that's important.
I mean, even if you look at you, like, you know, like you say, like, you do poetry, but you don't really perform in front of people like that. Like, that is a thing of fear too. Like, that is something that is, you know, people won't do it because they're like, oh, I'm scared. What if you know, like comedy people, like, what if people don't laugh at me? Or for you, it's like, what if people don't like my poem? Or what if people, you know what I'm saying, don't react the way I think they should? Whatever. Like, that's still a level of fear that you have to, you know what I'm saying, get over in order to do. And I said, me being a performer, just knowing, like, hey, I'm confident enough in myself that I believe everything I'm about to say is about to be funny. I believe that everything that I'm about to say is about to be relevant, good, and the best. I like it. I feel good about it, so I'm going to do it. And it's the same thing, like, when I try and put that confidence in you, when you want to say, hey, listen, just go have fun. Don't worry about nothing else. Have fun. If you're having a good time, they're going to have
and I appreciate that because I feel like that really helped me, you know what I mean? And then it's like, you know, I just wanted to get my poem out there, you know? It's not like I needed to be the best performer there, you know what I mean? And people actually really enjoyed it. So I'm glad, you
need to get your voice, or like, you need to get that thing. And you had great poems, like, you know what I'm saying? You had great poems that I know resonated with people, and that I know people felt and understood. And again, you need to do that for you. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing that for everybody else. You're not there. You're not there to impress anybody. You're not there. You're there because you have something that you want to say, and you want people to hear it. And having that confidence to say, all right, I'm gonna do it. And
here we go.
Like, whatever you had to do, but you did it, and it was fun.
Yeah, for sure. So, are there any books, podcasts, or resources that have been particularly impactful to your self-development journey?
So, like, books, there's a book in particular by Charlemagne the God that I read when I first started everything. It was called I think it was called Shook One, My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. And it's about him talking about the struggles that he had with mental health and depression and stuff like that. And for me, that was important because I don't recall listening to like reading those type of things from another black man, like him talking about mental health. It was such a stigma in our community for such a long time. So like hearing him talk about his struggle and what, you know, he was going through mentally helped me go, okay, well, this is normal for us to talk about, and more black men should talk about our mental health and the things that we're going through. So things like that, like his book. I listen to a bunch of podcasts, but none of them really had to do with comedy and stuff like that. It's like really just you just gotta kind of do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've listened to certain people, but as far as like mental health and stuff like that, like there's a bunch of different podcasts that I listen to that kind of feed into that. And again, what are you trying to find? You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was like I wanted to hear people of color talk about their struggles and what they're struggling. I wanted to hear creatives, like Ta-Nehisi Coates. I wanted to read some books from him and learn like his writing process and how he goes through things. And David Diggs, I wanted to listen to him talk about, or his poems and his artistic things, to see what they're going through. And you can just kind of get a peek into their ways that way too.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, decent, as you mentioned, you know, that Black men in general, you know, y'all don't really talk about mental health. And then for a while, you know, I feel like we all just push stuff under the rug. I mean, that's just my crazy uncle, or, you know, this and that. Everybody brushes everything under the rug, but no, it's like we all are, you know, maybe not everybody, but a lot of us are dealing with these mental health issues. And then, you know, with the alcohol, drugs, you know, it gets worse, it spirals. And that's why people don't really get the help, because we brush everything under the rug.
It was what happens in this house stay in this house type of thing. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's why you got so many people out here fucked up from being, you know, maybe they got molested, or maybe they got, oh, well, what happens in this house stay in this house, so they don't need to go nowhere.
But that's how, like, the cycles repeat.
Yeah, that's how cycles repeat. And that's how, damaged people don't get healed that way by keeping it in. So you gotta figure out like what's going on. You have to seek that help, and it's not like, if you go to get help, it's not like you're slighting your family.
No,
I'm not throwing y'all under the bus. I'm not doing it. I'm just really trying to get the help that I need to heal. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see so many of our, you know, crazy uncles or something. Well, he had something that he went through that he didn't heal from, and he wasn't protected from, and maybe he needed help. Maybe he needed somebody. Well, he never. You told him for 40 years it wasn't a safe place for him to talk. It wasn't. So of course now he's guarded, and of course he's violent, and of course he's all of these things. So now we gotta break them cycles. Like, we gotta get out of that. And I'm a big proponent of talking about it. Like, listen, I'm for everything I went through in my life, all the fights, all the bullshit, the homelessness, the this, the that, the bullying. Like, I'm 34. I'm at a point in my life where I won't say like I'm soft, but like, yo, I don't want to be a gangster. Truthfully, I don't want to be hard no more. I don't, like, I'll be hard when the time calls for it. But like, yo, I'm
and at home. And it's more peace to be able to just relax and, you know.
Yeah, like, I'm at home on Instagram watching these videos of these little kittens getting sick. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm just like, yo, I'll be doing something. I look at my son and I'll be like, look at this kitten. Look at him. Like, look at this little puppy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. Like, that's what I'm at. Like, it makes me happy. Like, I'm cool not being hard. Like, letting some of that shit go feels so letting go of that childhood trauma, letting go of those issues, like understanding all of this is the alchemy that made me what I am, but I don't have to wear this forever. I can let this shit go.
And once you realize that, it's like, wow, you can breathe.
Like, it's a weight lifted off you, so it's beautiful.
Wow, nice. Okay, so is there anything that you still struggle with currently?
Of course. I struggle constantly with, is it enough? Is it enough? Like, am I doing good enough? Am I being a good enough son? Am I being a good enough dad? Am I being a good enough person? Like, am I funny enough? Am I this? Like, I'm constantly battling myself with that. And it's not because of anybody else, it's not because of anything, but like, I've always been my own worst critic. That's how I've been able to push myself through so many situations. And it's funny because there's a comedian, his name is Neil Brennan, and he says something at the end of one of his specials that it resonates with me to this day, and I can repeat the shit damn near verbatim, where he goes, he basically says, I don't show myself any kindness. I don't give myself any grace. I grind, and then I attack myself relentlessly like it's my job.
Wow.
And then he goes on and he says, I'd like to think like my thoughts, my way of thinking, my personality, I like to think that they're not defects. I like to think that they're an alchemy that makes up a personality. And I just say like, I just think like, is it enough?
Right.
It has to be enough. And like, I struggle with that too. Like,
Yeah.
is this enough?
Right.
Like, is what I'm doing going to matter
Right.
at any point? Like, is it going to matter to my sons? Is it going to matter to my dad? Is it going to matter to anybody else's life I may affect? And there's nobody else that can tell me, you know, it is enough.
Right.
Because to me, it's like, is it? And it's not measured by a level of success. Even it's not measured by, you know, like even if I grow to be famous, it's not measured by that level of fame. It's not measured by any of those things. It's, do I feel like I've done enough?
Right. Yeah.
And to this point, I'll say like, no, like I don't think I've been great in every area of my life. Like I do my best to be a great dad. Truth is, sometimes I'm not.
Right.
Like I do my best to be a good son. Truth is, sometimes I'm not.
Right.
Like, and there's sometimes I'm a fucking asshole.
Right.
Like, that just is the way life is. Like we all have our shortcomings. Sometimes we do fall short.
Yeah.
And I think we have to learn to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And I've learned that still so far, I'm still not okay with it.
Yeah.
It has to be good enough. And I don't know if it'll ever be.
Right.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to get to that point where it's like, yeah, I've done enough.
Right.
But I also think that's what drives me and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
And that's also something that, again, I have to keep going in therapy and talking about and seeing, like, getting to a point where, you know, I'm okay if, I think what J. Cole said in his EP, like, you know, if God ain't got success in this deck of cards, like, I'm cool with knowing, like, you know what I'm saying? I've gotten to this point, like, if I'm not the best, at least, like, I know it's not in God's deck of cards for me, but, like, I tried my hardest.
Right.
So, if I try my hardest and, you know, at the end of the day, my kids are good and my dad is okay, you know, he's good and he's comfortable for however long he has here with me.
Right.
I guess it is, but I don't know.
Yeah. So you are your own worst critic.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, you know, are you able to give yourself grace? You know, like I know you say you are holding yourself and that pushes you, but, you know, sometimes, like, are you able to just be like, all right, or is it always just?
Nah, it's always that way for me.
Okay.
I wish I was able to give myself grace.
Yeah.
I wish I was able to. I'm better at it now, especially with comedy. Like, hey, like I know I'm gonna have a bad night.
Yeah.
But even though I had a bad night, I don't like that I had a bad
night.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'm not cool with it.
Right.
And to an extent, like it's a good thing, but it's also a curse. Like,
right.
Because you can get caught up. Again, if you let yourself get caught up in that, then you know the 2 days that you was that never were third. Now it done turned into a whole week.
I never really hear that aspect. You know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of people who are just like you, and they are not able to give themselves grace, and they are hard on themselves. But I think the fact that you're able to turn it into something, you're turning it into, you know, your purpose, and you know, you're putting it towards your goals. I feel like that's still taking steps. You know what I mean? It's not just going in vain.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, I'm hard on myself, I'm not doing shit. It's like, no, I'm hard on myself, but I'm keep working. I'm just going to keep doing better. I'm going to keep working at this comedy. You know, it's like, is it enough? And I feel like eventually you will get there. But like you said, you know, you're going to therapy and all that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, everybody's journey has different timing. You know what I mean? It's not just like a switch that just turns on and off. So it's like, you know, something that works for me might not work for you, and something that works for you might not work for me. And we all got like our different timing of our journey. So, you know, I just feel like it's still going towards something. You know what I mean? So
it's gonna keep growing. Like I said, it's a grind, and you keep going at it. But the most important thing is that you keep trying.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
Like if I realized right before in that lowest moment, I realized that if I wasn't here anymore, who would affect?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have affected my dad, it would have affected my son, it would have affected my sisters. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my pain wouldn't have ended with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My sister's lives is now crushed. Right. You know what I'm saying? My son's life is now destroyed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My dad is upset because he lost his son. Like, all of these things are factors, so you have to keep going. So at first it was for them. Now it's like, all right, it's for me, but still learning, like, maybe enough for it, you know, like, me being here is enough for somebody else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that first initial thought is enough to keep you going. Like, me being here is enough for somebody else. And then you figure out, okay, now how do I keep going for me?
Right.
Again, even though I don't give myself any grace, I'm still going for me.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the part that's tricky, and that's the part that you just gotta plow through.
Yeah, for sure. I respect that. I respect you being, you know, so open and vulnerable, and, you know, just like sharing that, because not a lot of people would be able to do that, especially not a lot of men. So, you know, shout out to you.
Part.
So how do you feel like you have evolved, like, over the years?
It's becoming so much calmer. Not getting upset over the little things. You really evolve. Evolution to an extent is a choice.
Yeah.
How many people do you know from high school that is still the same person they was in high school?
Yeah.
Like, ain't changed not one bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, still, you know, still petty, still out here fighting with people.
Right.
Still
Well,
out here
yeah, I do actually know. Like,
engaged. Like, when you
right,
look back, you like, oh shit. Like, I know people who still out
Yeah.
here doing the same old shit from high school.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying, you know, they've been an alcoholic for 10 years and haven't changed.
Right.
Evolution to an extent is a choice. You have to choose to grow.
That is true.
And you have to welcome it and want to move on. So, I know for me, I just sat there and said, like, we gotta move on from where we are now.
Yeah.
We done gone through these phases in life.
Right.
So where I'm at this phase, like I said, I'm soft now. I'm chilling. I don't want no arguments with nobody. I want to sit in my crib and take care of my kids and watch my little videos that make me happy.
Yeah.
I sit on my phone and play Angry Birds like a 12-year-old. Like, I don't like it. It's what keeps me calm. It's what balances me out, and it's what makes me happy.
Right.
And like I said, just getting to that point in my mid-30s where I'm just like, hey, I ain't have to have this figured out by 34.
Yeah.
Like, this is something I don't think we realize as adults. Like, how old do you think that is?
31.
30. Okay, so yeah, you like my sisters. So we've been, even me at 34, I haven't even been an adult for half my life yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't even been an adult for half of my life yet. You know what I'm saying? My first 18 years was as a kid, as a teenager, and everything else. And even until your younger 20s, like, you still don't know shit. So, like, at 34, I'm like, not even half my life has been an adult.
Yeah.
I don't have to have this shit figured out right now. Like, I don't have to own my own house. I don't have to be stuck in my own way of thinking. Like, I don't have to be where everybody thinks you should be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't the 50s anymore. This ain't the 1890s. Like, things are different. And you have to evolve to how your scenario is. But, like, we ain't been adults that long. You know what I'm saying? We spent more time being a child than we did being an adult.
Yeah.
So it's alright to still be figuring this shit out at 31. It's okay
We're all figuring it out.
It's okay to change, you know what I'm saying? Be like, hey, look, I went to school for social work. I want to be a chef. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to do that. That's fine. Like, it's alright to start doing comedy at 31.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have to be 18 to start doing it. I didn't have to be 21 to start doing it. Like, I did it I'm doing it at 31. I'm doing it at 33, 34. Great. You know what I'm saying? Like, some cats, all right, cool. I'll be 50 when I make it. But I'll make it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, don't get caught up in that, you know, I gotta be here. I gotta be there. Like, no, you 31. Again, you've only been an adult for 13 years of your
Yeah.
life. 13 years. Where were you at 13?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You was a kid in middle school.
Yeah.
Thinking you like this type of boy, thinking you like this type of this, and this is how life is going to be forever. 5 years later, shit was different. 10 years later, shit was different. 15 years later, things are different.
Yeah.
So that's just the kind of mindset that we gotta have, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just evolve. Evolution is a choice. If you don't choose to grow, then you won't.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the same person. Like you gonna choose to be the same petty person that's on Facebook arguing with people. You gonna be this person that likes to fight people. Bro, you don't. That's not how you are. Dog. You're not monolithic. Like, and don't think like that. If you continue to think monolithically, then that's how you gonna be.
And it's crazy because you said, you know, I feel like all of us were kind of brought up like at this age, I gotta have this, and that. And I feel like in your 20s, you feel like you got it all figured out. But I feel like there's beauty in like the 30s where it's like you realize you don't have to have it figured out. And then that's where you can start over, or you can do more because you're not just stuck on one idea. And I feel like that's when people, you know, they say when your frontal lobe kind of like turns on. I feel like that's when we kind of start to get it. Like, all right, I don't have to, you know, have a house. You know, I thought I was going to have a house by I was 25.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I was going, like, no, like, you know, life happens. And once you realize that you can have more peace because it's like, all right, I'm letting go of that, you know, hard expectation or that title or whatever I was, you know, holding myself up to, and just giving myself, you know, more room to do more shit.
I remember when my mom passed away, I was 24. And I remember having a conversation with my grandfather, and I said, I was angry at the time. It was one of them stages, 7 stages of grief. I was angry at the time. And I said, my mom left me at a time where I was trying to figure out who the hell I was in this world. I'm 24. I still, like, I don't know what I want to do, really. I don't know really who I am. I thought in high school, I thought this is who I was going to be. And then, like, you in your mid-20s and you're like, okay, that's not who I thought I was going to be. Now I got to figure out something else. And I'm again at 24, I'm feeling like I'm on that clock. Like, hey, like, I got to have certain shit figured out by, or I should have certain things figured out by now, and I don't. So now I feel even bad, or even worse, because, like, my mom is gone and she's not here to kind of show me that way anymore. So I'm figuring out who the hell I am. While the person who, you know, was the rock and held everything down is no longer here. So now I'm also trying to figure out this part of life without her. And I don't know how to do that. And because I don't know how to do it, I was never prepared for my mom to leave me at that age. So I'm mad. I'm like, yo, like, how's she gonna leave me at this time? I don't know who the fuck I am. And I'm still I don't know how to figure this out. And I feel like I should have it figured out. And it led me into such even more of a depression because, again, you feel like I should have a house by now. I should be living by 24. I should be living on my own. I should be doing this. I should have went to like whatever the steps may be. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize at that time. It was okay for me not to have shit figured out at 24. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was, all my friends were still living at home with their mom basically at that time. But, like, I'm trying to figure out how to make everything work and keep my family in a good situation. And again, it took me years to get out of that, to learn, all right, it's okay that I didn't have this shit figured out. Because 26 came, I didn't have nothing figured out. When 27 came, and I'm just flopping back and forth, trying to figure it out, trying to make shit work. At a certain point, I was like, all right, you know what, I'm fine just existing. Like, I'm cool just working 40 hours a week and having my son and that being it. Like, I exist. Like, that's it. It took me 5 years to get out of that type of mindset and figure shit out. And again, 34, still So,
but look at how far you've come, you know, in these past couple of years. That just, you know, that can give people hope. Because some people may still, some people are still in that space, you know what I mean, where they don't think that they can make it anywhere else.
I mean, I do try to make it a point to tell people, like, oh, if you do have that dream, like, go ahead and do that, because, like, there ain't no reason I should be here right now in front of y'all. Like, by all measures, by all accounts.
Right, the odds were against you, but you made that shit work.
Eric almost put himself in the grave about 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
Like, Eric was engaging in such risky behavior that should have had me locked up or in jail or dead or something. Like, there's no reason I should be standing in front of y'all doing what I love to do.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, I started at 31. There's no reason why. Like, start looking into, like, business mindsets when you learn, like, at 31 were some of your favorite people.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where was Jeff Bezos? Where was this person? Where was that person?
Yeah.
They were struggling somewhere.
Yeah.
They weren't instantly successful. There was a lot of people that was just figuring it out and didn't figure it out till 40, 50, 60 years old. Yeah. Like, didn't get to that level of success until they were, you know what I'm saying, older in age.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Just understanding, you know, and that's something that has helped me because just, you know, doing this podcast, being on the internet, period, but just doing anything, like, I've seen so many people say that, you know, like, your favorites have started probably later on in life than you are right now. Like, people think, you know, in the 20s, you gotta be a millionaire. The internet has us all out of our minds. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we gotta have everything. We all gotta be millionaires, business owners, all that.
Right, and that's not how it is.
No, it's not. But it's like, when you see that, it does give you hope. You know, just seeing that there's billionaires who started in their 30s. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's room, there's hope for us, and we just gotta, you know that, and hopefully, you know, people who don't see it right now, they can see it, like, you know, look at, like you said, look at your favorites, and then just see, like, they came a long way, so that's fire. So the last thing is, what is some advice that you would give to someone who is struggling with mental health or someone who is not fine on the inside?
Find anything that is important to you. Find your reason why. And like, it's not a for me, like, when I started doing comedy, like, I had a teacher and he said, listen, he was like, why do you want to do comedy? And first, like, you know, the people answer like, oh, I want to make people laugh. Like, I want my name to be in lights. Like, I want to have my name on a billboard like Kevin Hart.
Right.
Da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. That's bullshit.
Right.
Why do you want to do it?
Right.
And then it forces you to look deeper inside and go, okay, I want to be, you know, I want to make money. Bullshit. Why do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Because I want to find something to be successful. And again, bullshit. Why do you want to do it? So you find that reason, whatever it may be, for you. Right. You hold on to that and you use that. Like, I don't care if it's every time you about to do a podcast, before you go on you do a podcast where you guys get here, you go in the bathroom and you look in the mirror and say, like, I want to have a good podcast because I want to inform people on such and such and such and such. Boom, if you do that every single time before you do a podcast, that's your reason why. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, like, find that reason and hold on to it. And remember that every single time you're about to do what you want to do. Right. But it has to be for you. It's like, my kids can't be the reason I'm doing it, because at some point in time, my kids are going to leave me, go have their own families, make their own decisions, do their own thing. Like, at one point, like, if it's your parents, like, at one point your parents are going to leave you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you have a spouse, what happens if you and your spouse don't work out? Like, the motivation has to be for you, because at the end of the day, somebody, all you have, like, not really, you know what I'm saying, if you're married with somebody, y'all are great, and that's great, you know what I'm saying, but, like, that person can't be the reason for your success. Right. You have to want and have your own dream and how you want to approach it, so it has to be for you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. So, well, thank you, Eric, so much for coming on the podcast. Be open and vulnerable, you know what I mean? Like, you have helped me in our, you know, all our business transactions, you know, from poetry to graphics to now my podcast. I just want to thank you.
I feel like you definitely helped me in the past, like with my confidence. And, you know, I just really appreciate you coming on. Like we said, there's not a lot of men that are open to talk about mental health. So shout out to you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
We gonna keep doing that same thing. Like I said, I believe in your artistic vision. I believe in what you want to do, and I want to see you succeed. So, you know, I'll do what I can to, you know, make sure that you get there. You know, like I brought customers to you, and they're like, hey, like this is who does my stuff.
You have,
should
and
be
I
there for yours.
That for sure.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how we help each other.
For sure, yeah. We're going to help each other, for sure. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you guys grab your Find on the Inside journals and your t-shirts. And make sure you guys go follow Eric. I'm going to tag all his handles down below. And, you know, let them know if you have any shows or anything coming up.
So, end of September, October, you can catch me on Clint Coley's My Edible War Off tour. I'll be on tour with him in a bunch of different cities. Also, I have a show that I'll be hosting in September 28th is the date. It's already mailed in, but I'll be putting out, you know, links for tickets and everything. So make sure y'all come out, you know, follow that, pay attention to the shows. We have a great time. I always have a great lineup.
He's funny, y'all.
Of comedians. Jazz is gonna be doing the poster for it, of course. Which that she'll be making that for me next week. So, you know, keep an eye out for that because I'm going to keep moving and we're definitely doing big things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you again, Eric.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And thanks, guys, so much for tuning in. See you guys next time.